Welcome to Swolefam. So if there was one thing that I was not expecting on our Warhammer bingo card for 2025 is us talking about a new edition of Horus Heresy. Well, I know myself and a ton of other Heresy fans aren't super thrilled to include Horus Heresy in that 3-year edition cycle since it is kind of unnecessary. It is indeed very hard to say no to sweet new models. However, last week, there was the whole drop site preview, which not only showed us what's in the new box, but there was a total information dump on what we're getting in the future and a look into how the game will play going forward. So with that, there's way more to talk about than just models. So let's go into it. 3 predictions for 3rd edition Horus Heresy. The new edition is a rules refresh, not an overhaul. I know they pretty much confirmed this in the articles at that drop site preview, but it is worth mentioning because I know a lot of people, including myself, were worried about the game being dumbed down or modernized to be simplified more like a 40k or AOS, when it obviously is like the WoW classic to retail WoW, where it's a fresh coat of paint on an old engine, which we all adore greatly. So it was good to get confirmation that this is more going to be an addition to push models and marketing and get people interested in the game, similar to a Kill Team 3rd edition or the new edition of Underworlds when those came out last year. They did say they're adding to the system with damage characteristics and cool old features like the cool trait. So there are new things that us grognards can really come to appreciate. Things will be different, but it'll still be the old Heresy that we all know and love. Next on the list is much needed models and factions in plastic will bring more new players in. This is going to be the addition of the new, and I say this because I feel like when they did the Age of Darkness box for Heresy 2.0, they were expecting, and I mean GW, an influx of players coming in, and I think a lot of people did buy that box, though not many people stuck around. You saw the boxes fly off the shelf and no one actually brought the models to the table. Since Heresy, to the uninitiated, is regarded as the Space Marine game, I think with a lot of support now for Mechanicum, for Solar Auxilia, and knowledge of the other factions having more of a role in the Heresy, a lot of new players are intrigued by the Saturnine box and what the Heresy has to offer. And even with hints of new bits for factions like Custodes, it shows that there's bigger support for the game, more factions being supported, so it shows a wider array of options for new players, and that'll always get people more interested. And also, the Horus Heresy hasn't been the most obvious rule set for new players to get all their information from. When I started the Horus Heresy, I didn't know that I could play knights and like traitor militia, which are traitor guard and all that stuff. So it is good that we'll get to see more that's just flat out on the table for people to get into. And lastly, tax is gone. List building restrictions are being lifted, and I think ultimately it actually won't affect the game that much. I've always been of the mindset that list building restrictions are actually better for a game because it forces people to use their brain and think of the best way to make a certain ideal work. There's usually the opposite mind of list building restrictions hurt the game and being able to do whatever you want is king, which it's not, because people just do good stuff soup and don't actually freaking try. And so where is all this coming from? Well, during the preview, GW did say that list building restrictions are being lifted. We do not know to what extent at the time of this video, but they said it's for the ability to make more thematic battles and do exactly the kind of thing that you want to do with your legion or with whatever faction you might play. Well, that is appreciated because I don't always like to do 20 tax or something like that for a list just to get to that compulsory troop requirement. I don't also love just being able to do whatever the I want because it kind of gets boring. Well, this was the one red flag and my knee-jerk dislike from the drop site preview / reveal for 3rd edition Horus Heresy. I also acknowledge the fact that the Horus Heresy community is mostly a narrative bunch and already self-police any kind of heinous, unbalanced things. Horus Heresy 2.0 was not balanced in the slightest, and people just chose, hey, you bring something heinous, I'm just not going to play that. Or I'll bring something to be able to actually play against it so I can play the game, not to just sweat and meta chase. So funnily enough, while these list building restrictions being alleviated are to bring people in, make people excited, I think most people who are actually going to stay and play Horus Heresy, it probably won't affect them really that much. It might affect the new players getting into it a little bit because they can do whatever they want. But for the people who already play, it'll be business as usual. So that's it. Are you excited about the new edition of Horus Heresy? We are actually, after everything was kind of put on the table, very excited about the new edition. I do feel that it is unnecessary. We don't need it to be in a 3-year cycle, and I really hope Old World doesn't follow this trend now because it makes everything more of a rat race. But now that we have the information and it's not going to be a complete shift in a different direction and maintain what we love about the game and the setting, we're all for it. As always, this is Rafiq from Swolefam. And if you want to support us, remember, like, share, subscribe. Everything helps your content creators get closer to succeeding. So, as always, stay swole.